Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Inside the WWL, the first ever talk show around the best wiffle league in Wisconsin. In this episode, we're going to be talking about the off-season changes that each team is making. Some teams, such as the Aces and my team, the Mustangs, have made significant changes in this off-season, while other teams, such as the Wiffle Wizards, haven't made any changes yet. So let's get into the show.
So now we're moving on to the first section of this episode. Vinny Giroux moving to the Aces. I think this is one of, if not the biggest signings that has happened during this offseason. So Tristan, you were the one to sign him. What was going through your mind when you signed him, and why did you sign him in the first place?
Griffin Carlson reached out to me, said, "Hey, Vinny's looking to get out of the Mustangs. Let's see if we can get him." And so I reached out to him, and he was willing to come to the Aces for a year and give us a chance, which I'm extremely happy about. His hitting power, I think, is just going to be a huge addition to our team, because right now we don't have power.
Yeah,
We have pretty good consistent hitters, but just that extra home run power is going to be amazing to have. And yeah, I think he's definitely an East level player that was stuck in the West.
I mean, I bet you can't wait for 2025.
No, I'm really excited.
Yeah, I bet.
I just think that I signed Vinny for 1 year in his rookie season, and I just think I didn't expect him to be an all-star in his first year, but he really blew my expectations away in his first season. He was really great for the Mustangs organization, but when he wanted to leave, I had to accept that because, I want what's best for him as a player, and the fact that he went to the other division makes it a little bit easier for us to deal with as well. I'm looking for players that are happy in the organization, and if Vinny wasn't, then I'm not going to mess with that.
Yeah, I mean, you go ahead, Henry.
Yeah, it is a big signing for the Aces. It gives them a solid bat that they know is going to get hits every series, and I think it'll help them get a big playoff push here. So, yeah, great signing.
I think they could go further into the playoffs than just the Eastern Wild Card next year.
Mm-hmm.
I can't wait. I'm super excited that he went there. I mean, I think everybody knew that the East was kind of, I don't really know how to phrase it, but more like, I don't want to say better, but I feel like they were more powerful than the West.
Yeah.
And I think Vinny going into the East brings the East even more power than the West, because Vinny, he had 13 home runs, I think, in 2024. That was just crazy. I mean, we all know that Cam hit 13 in one series, but, 13 in one season is still really, really hard. So I think he was one of the best rookies in the league in 2024, and, I can't wait to see him on a new team. So, yeah.
So similar to the Aces, another team trying to add more pieces to their team was the Backyard Ballers. But the Ballers, unlike the Aces, coming off a very disappointing season for their team, actually. And their team just ended up looking even worse as the offseason started because Tice Mikla, the captain, resigned, and then Lucas Ryan had to step up. They also lost Clayton Yap, who retired with Tice Mikla. So, the team was just, it wasn't looking good. But Lucas Ryan, he tried to take control of this team with creating some serious chemistry between him and his teammates. He signed Brody Robertson, who had just got off his contract with the Bombers. He was a part of the 2024 championship team that they had, came up pretty clutch in that series. And as well as trading for Leo Mastronardi, the former Gold Glove winner last year, to the Tundra in exchange for the draft pick. So he changed this team around in a lot of ways. I can't predict how it's going to go for them in 2025, but just a lot of changes to this team, and I think that's kind of what you need when you and have a bad season like that. You kind of need to make some changes.
Yeah. And I think when you're this is a rebuild year for the Ballers for sure. Mm-hmm. And I think when you're going off of a rebuild year, you'd rather have good team chemistry and having fun with your guys over getting just an insane amount of talent, but not like meshing well together.
Yeah, I agree. I think a little underrated person that left the league is Clayton Yap. I think in 2023 he brought a lot of energy to their team, and I think the Ballers really thrived off him. He's a great fielder, crazy catch in 2023. I'll never forget that, but that was crazy. But like Tristan said, I think this is really a rebuilding season for the Ballers, and I think if they can also get a draft pick to add on to what they've already done for their team, I think they could be really, really good and better than a 1-5 season in 2024. So, yeah.
I agree.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that Baller team is looking really solid. I'm excited to see what they're going to do this season. I do think the signing of Owen and Leo is a great addition to fielding.
Yeah,
Leo
forgot about
Gold
Owen.
Glove. So, yeah, Owen
Martin leaving the Wiffle Wizards.
He showed signs of being a good player. So, I'm excited to see what they'll do.
Yeah, I got one more thing to add. I kind of forgot about this, but I think Lucas was kind of ready to be captain. Because
Definitely.
when Tice
Yeah.
left the organization, you could tell that Lucas was like,
Excited.
he was doing stuff like right
Mhm.
away, right when he became captain. So I think he was really looking forward to that. And when the moment came, he really shined in his.
Yeah, Lucas Ryan, of course, 2-time All-Star,
Yeah.
Cy Young winner in 2023. Great
Mhm.
player. I think he's going to do good things for this team. I don't know how
Yeah.
long it will take, but I think he's going to be a great captain. He's going to make
Mhm.
changes that he needs to. So
I could see him improving more.
Yeah.
And improving his whole entire team more, too. So
yeah,
I
and
think-
in terms of players that show up to games, Leo Mastronardi definitely a player that shows up to games. Brody Robertson shows up to games, and that was a problem they had in 2024. So
Mhm.
I just think the Ballers team is not going to be an easy team to face at all in 2025.
Yeah, and I think we touched on this last episode, but we can't forget about them losing Cam.
Mhm.
So and they also still have Braden too.
Yeah.
So those are
Good
kind of two
potential.
things that I think we all forgot about. But trading away Cam, I think that was kind of a big mistake
It was, I
because
think
he was still on his contract, wasn't he?
he was,
Because
and
he even got signed. So
yeah.
I think that was just a really big mistake by Lucas. But other than that, I think that was really the only mistake. I mean, I'm happy that he kept Braden because the one series that Braden did come to, I think it was the last regular season series.
Yeah.
He really shines. I think this team. I'm still really, really upset that they traded away Cam because if they had Cam, that team would really be one of the best teams in the East, in my opinion.
Anyone who can
But-
hit 13 homers in one
Oh,
series
yeah.
just turns
And-
around a team.
And it was
honestly.
off a
Yeah.
great pitcher.
Yeah.
Tristan's a good
Yeah.
pitcher.
Yeah.
He's not throwing lobs every other pitch, so
Mhm.
that was
He's a-
great. And I think with Cam on the Flyers, I know it's kind of off topic, but Flyers are going to be
Scary.
tough to beat. And they also signed Will Rogers. I know nobody really knows him since he's never been in the league before, but they're just gonna. I think Flyers are gonna be the best team.
Flyers are really
Oh,
good.
yeah. Flyers are gonna be scary.
Yeah, the East is looking like a very, very competitive side there, compared to the West. Well, cold hard truth, but that's all right.
Yeah. Well, the West is just, I think it's improving, just not as quickly as the East with
Mhm.
players like, I don't know how to describe it, but there are different atmospheres in the East compared to the
Mhm.
West. The West plays good with football, but
Yeah.
the East, they have captains like Elijah Schramm. They draw players in, like Cam Byer, who really wanted to go to their team. But players switching from the West to the East, that's important too. Like Vinny Giroux, who was one of the best players in the West in
Mhm.
2024. Just now he's on the East, making their team for the All-Star game just even better.
Yeah.
I assume Vinny will be an All-Star in 2025 as well.
Mhm.
Yeah, I think teams in the West this draft need to capitalize, show that they're going to be competitive with teams in the West when it gets to playoff time. So, I'm excited.
Yeah, can't wait.
Lucas Ryan was not the only captain to be moved up to that position in 2024, though, towards the end of the season. Mason Wazinski also took over as role of captain in place of Ilya Razvi, becoming the leader of the Tundra organization. He's made changes right away, although keeping Ilya and his brother Imran on the team. Mason right away signed Patrick Cotaro, who is well known around here as a pretty good wiffle ball player. I think he has good potential,
Mhm.
and he's going to be a help to the Tundra and the West just as a quality division.
Yeah.
So I think the Tundra as well also have a couple of draft picks, one at least, maybe two in the draft. I'd have to check, but I think they're looking like a team that can just build up. Mason's a good captain. He knows good wiffle ball players, has those connections, and I think that the Tundra can become a good team in 2025 again.
Yeah, I see a lot of upside in Patrick. He's a good player. I'm really excited to play him. I think he might be an all-star this year. That's a hot take, but I can see it happening. So,
Yeah.
Yeah, I think Mason is kind of doing what Lucas did a little bit. I know. I really like that Illy. I don't want to be mean to Illy here, but I really like that he stepped down as captain to make Mason captain because I think Mason has just like a little bit more wiffle ball knowledge of
More
people
involved.
of people that he knows around here to sign than Illy does. So I like that Illy's still on the team. He's still part of this league, but I really like that Mason's captain instead of him. Signing Patrick right away was great. So I really think the Tundra championship last season, just a little bit shy of that of the dub, but I really think the Tundra are going to be one of the best teams in the West.
I agree.
I mean, we just talked about how the East is way better than the West, but now that we're talking about this more, I feel like the West isn't all that bad. We
No.
only like the Wiffle Wizards are the one like not great team in the
Yeah.
West, but the Mustangs, Knights, and Tundra are 3 great teams. So I really like the West chance with this one. I mean, every time like the West has played the East in something, the East has always won. The East has won the All-Star games. The East has won the championships. But I have a feeling that could change in 2025, and yeah, I'm looking forward to this.
Yeah, I think Mason's definitely the right choice for captain.
Mm-hmm.
I think if he had gone to just a few more games in 2024, he would have been a little bit more on the radar for MVP. He would have earned a few more votes.
Mm-hmm.
Again, a player that can win MVP, basically single-handedly carrying his team to the division championship. Thanks to him and Leo Mastronardi, he can play out of a lot of tough situations and just an all-around really solid with ball player, Mason Wazinski.
Yeah.
I think the addition of Patrick, I don't know if he's as good of a hitter, but I think the fielding is going to be insane.
Yeah, they need that.
Just in baseball, I know he's a really good fielder, so I think that'll translate pretty well to wiffle ball.
And you have to fill the void of Leo Mastronardi, the Gold Glove player. Patrick Pitaro, super fast, good athlete, and I think he's just the replacement for Leo Mastronardi.
Yeah,
I don't love Mason trading away Leo Mastronardi because he was such a great player and a great fielder.
But
he didn't hit well, but when he needed, he came up with some good hits and home runs, but his fielding was really great as well. I don't like that he got traded away.
But in return, see, Mason's doing something here. In return for trading away Leo, he got the Ballers draft pick, right?
Mm-hmm.
So he's setting up something good here, I have a feeling. I think he has 1 or 2. We don't know for sure. We'll finalize the draft order soon, and we'll get that out. But I'm pretty sure they have 2, if I'm not mistaken. Don't quote me on that. But I think Mason, he only has 5 players on his team, correct? So he could sign 1 more player at least. So I think he really has something brewing in the pot here for his team in 2025.
So those off-season changes takes us pretty close to when we're recording this show. But just the other day, it was kind of an interesting day in the league. A signing from the Knights, a signing from my team, the Mustangs, and then a trade between my team and Henry's team, the Knights. So, that was an interesting day in the West and just for the entire league. So, first of all, I signed a guy named Teddy Kauscher, who I think is just going to be a kind of a similar player to Vincent Giroux in the way that, I don't expect him to pitch. He's going to get on base. He's going to hit for power, and I think he's going to be that kind of role player that we need that will show up and get stuff done for us.
He's got big quads, too.
He's not related to me.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say.
And so then, I realized that if I was going to continue to make this Mustangs team look even better in the offseason, I needed another hitter who would show up, and someone who didn't show up to Knights games, and I later found out from him, he wasn't really feeling the atmosphere in the Knights organization, and that's kind of why he wasn't showing up, was Leo Dieterman, who has been bounced around the league a lot. Now 3 teams he's been on, including the Mustangs. He started out on the Backyard Ballers, wasn't happy with the atmosphere there, went to the Knights, didn't play a single game for them, and now here is on the Mustangs. So he's been bounced around the league a lot, but I think he's going to be a great hitter. He hits for power and got a good baseball background. I think he's just going to be another solid guy for us. I'm not looking to trade for any insane players that are already in the league. I'm looking for solid guys that will come to games because I think that's all we need to do.
I think you need people to show up, and I think that's what you got.
Yeah, I think an environment change for Leo was needed. That's why I traded him. We got their pick this year in return, so I felt like it was a pretty even trade since he didn't come to any games last year.
Yeah.
So he didn't really have too much value to our team. But I think, him going to the Mustangs, he'll show up and he'll be pretty good. He's a solid player.
Yeah,
so.
I think that's a trade that truly did benefit both of our teams because you got rid of a player that didn't show up to games and you gained a draft pick looking forward in a team that you might need a little bit more depth of people to show up. And I needed a solid player, not just a draft pick. So I think that benefited both of us. But what that does do is I've traded away our draft pick this season and added another player. So it's kind of going all in for this team because if this team doesn't really mesh together or doesn't do well during 2025, I don't really know what we look to because no draft pick. We just don't it's kind of putting all our eggs in one basket, if you will, and
Got all your ducks in a row, right?
Yeah,
But
Sure
I hope your Ducks stay in a row. And I think they will. I think your Ducks will stay in a row.
I just hope they don't
And-
sink. You know
Yeah,
what I'm saying?
I really hope they don't sink either. But I have a feeling. No, I think they'll definitely stay afloat because right now, I mean, I think the first series is how you know what your team really thinks. Like if they show up to that first series, they're looking forward to the rest of the year. So I think the first series will be a big one for you if they show up, and if they do, I'm looking forward to.
Yeah.
And if they don't, I'm looking forward to seeing you and the Mustangs just go far in the playoffs this year. So I think you're gonna be a really good
And then
team.
the last thing that I did with this roster was I signed another player, Trent Woodward. 2023, he was on this Mustangs team. Could not play in 2024, and I brought him back, and I think that's really exciting. He's excited to be back. I'm excited to have him back. He's a good hitter, and I'm very happy to have him back on this team. It's gonna be great.
Yeah, I think the title race in the West is like wide open.
Yeah.
Every team is going to be competitive except the Wizards, but yeah, I can't really predict who's going to win it.
Yeah.
We'll have to see.
I think the draft is important, and this offseason is important, and whichever team comes out of the offseason in the best shape is going to be the team that has the power to compete for a division title.
Yeah.
So now we're going to go into our overrated and underrated players throughout the 2024 season. Tristan's going to start, and it's going to go in order. Tristan, start it off.
Okay, my underrated player is Owen Baldock. He only showed up to one season for us on the Aces, but the series he did show up to, he was absolutely clutching. Hit the walk-off home run, send us into the playoffs for the first time.
That's clutch. Yeah.
Had a great one-handed catch to rob one of Cam's home runs. He was great on plate, was getting on base a lot that series. Just all around helped us win that series to get us into the playoffs.
I agree with everything you just said. Hit a lot of home runs. Just he got on base. Granted, he was playing against one player, but when you hit home runs, it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
So he held Cam under 14 home runs. That was pretty cool to see.
I wish he showed up to more games.
Yeah.
I feel like he could have been
And I think
way
if
better.
he showed up to more series, he would have gotten an award and maybe All-Star.
Yeah.
I think he.
Okay.
Oh,
I think he was definitely one of those
could've been
players
All-Star.
who's just below the All-Star quality
Yeah.
that we
Yeah.
were looking for,
He's
and
a great
that's
player.
partially due to the fact they didn't go to
Yeah,
like a
exactly.
reserve.
If he
He would
showed
be a
up, he would have been an All-Star. I think so.
Yeah.
All right. So now moving on to mine, I got an overrated player in mind. Now Lucas Ryan. He played on the Backyard Ballers. Now captain of the Backyard Ballers. He's an interesting fellow. He's not good. He's really not that good. At all.
Okay.
He's really not great. And I hope he's watching this. I really hope he's watching this. He has one pitch, and that's a fastball. So I don't know how you don't hit off him. And yeah, he's really overrated, in my opinion. No, okay, hear me out. 2023 was great for him. I really like the way that he did his things. I mean, he struck out a lot of people. I think 2024 he kind of fell off, and that really showed. But I think he's really, really overrated because I think people just focus too much on him, and I don't know how many strikeouts. I can't remember his stats off the top of my head, but he got those strikeouts by throwing one pitch, and I know he aims for the zone every time he throws, but he just throws it as hard as he can, and sometimes I feel like it might be a little bit of luck when people don't hit off of him. They don't really see the ball that well and stuff like that. And it's so weird that not many people can hit off him. And I couldn't really hit off him either. But he has one pitch that he's throwing, and he throws it well, but I think people just talk about him too much. I think people focus on him too much. The glaze is kind of insane. And that's mine. Yeah.
All
Way to control your
yeah.
emotions.
Wow. Yeah.
I'm gonna just move to mine.
Yeah, that's great.
I have an underrated player in mind on the Tundra, Leo Mastronardi. And this is a guy that many people just don't talk about because his impacts were really difficult to see when the changes he made to the Tundra's series and their season. In fact, that catch he made off of a Luke Anthony line drive that would have definitely cleared the wall. That's like season changing. That's a season changing play.
Yeah.
It is, right? Yeah.
And people hate on his hitting a lot, and his hitting stats don't show when he came up clutch at the plate. Like he can hit a home run 1 out of 15 times at the plate, but that one home run is exactly when they needed it.
I feel like that kind of relates to Brody Robertson a little bit.
It does.
Yeah, just saying. You can go back.
I just think, like, when it's a close game and he makes that kind of play, he keeps his team, like, in the thick of it, if you know what I'm saying. Like, they were never out because Leo Mastronardi just kept hustling on every play, just kept trying to make as big an impact as he could in the game, and he just doesn't get talked about enough, in my opinion. Now on the Backyard Ballers, I'm sure he's going to do great things there as well.
I'm excited to see his team change with him on the Ballers. So
I have an overrated player, and my overrated player is Vinny Giroux. So Vinny, this guy, his stats are very much inflated. Almost all of his home runs came against little kids. And this is the problem with the league. We have these moments of, well, this player looks good. Because it's off these bums.
Because it's off Tyler Kokot.
Yeah, Tyler Kokot. So this
he's
kid
in 7th grade. And Zach Kokot.
He's in
5th grade?
Yeah, 5th grade. He's hitting home runs off of 5th graders, and we're calling this guy the next Barry Bonds. What are we doing? And he stands like right here on the plate, and like, come on, he gets hit in the head like every time. And when I faced him, I struck him out every time except one at bat, and it was like 20 at bats basically. So.
May I remind you, it was a grand slam and
roll the clip. Roll the clip.
Yeah, and he also didn't even win the playoffs.
So maybe I might ask, are you the bum?
I don't think so, because we still scored more runs in that series. So just saying. And we also went farther in the playoffs. So we got the 1 seed. This guy didn't. So just saying. And he left you. So
now after that beef, whatever that was, we're going to move into the power rankings now. Power rankings dropped on our community tab about a week ago. But we're going to start with number 8 and progressively move up to number 1. So number 8, Wiffle Wizards. Last year, they were previously number 5, so they moved down 3 spots, and I think this is definitely a respectable spot for the Wiffle Wizards.
Yes.
100%.
Yeah.
Josh just fell off so hard. He was riding high on a ramp and just did not have the speed to clear the jump, and he just fell.
They forgot to finish the bridge. He was like right there. And
just fell.
Yeah. I think this team needs to make a change. Like, at least do something.
They need a culture change.
You have 3 players in a league where you can have 6, and you have draft picks, and you have opportunities to trade, and you're doing none of that. I don't know what Josh is doing.
Who even is their captain anymore?
Josh.
Still Josh.
Who even is that?
Yeah,
You know
who is
what I'm
Josh?
Who's this bum kid?
We agree.
We don't even know him anymore.
Yeah.
Maybe he's the bum out of everybody.
Maybe he is.
Still Henry.
All right,
Number 7 are the Backyard
So number
Ballers.
7 are the Backyard Ballers. They were previously number 3. They were actually previously number 2, last year. And I think that was a respectable spot for them before the 2024 season.
And
Nobody really knew how they were going to play, and they didn't even make the playoffs. Number 7, I like it right now because compared to all the other teams that are 1 through 6, I like the 7 right now. But I could see them before 2025 starts, like maybe like a week before the season when everything is done, like the trades are done, the draft is done. I could see them being higher, not much higher, maybe like 5 or 6, but I could see them moving up the list a little bit.
Absolutely.
So now number 6, the Mustangs. They were previously number 3. Power rankings, now they're number 6.
Yeah, I have to say I totally agree with the power ranking putting us at 6th. Like, just not the season we were hoping for last year. I'm doing everything I can to try and add players to this team, just make us better. That's all you're ever trying to do as the captain. But I think 6, until we prove otherwise, is where we should be.
I like that spot.
Yeah, I think that spot right now is good because all the teams ahead of them were in the playoffs. And I feel like the Aces and Mustangs are not as comparable right now. So I do think they do belong at 6. So.
Yeah. speaking of the Aces, they're at number 5. They were previously number 6 last year, moved up a spot. I like this a lot. They made the playoffs in 2024, not like 2023.
I mean, still a disappointing season. We were hoping for at least a 500 season. Going 2-4, obviously a little disappointing. But I feel like our record doesn't show how well we played. Like when we played you guys, and ended on a walk-off home run, and like I think most of our games that we lost were like sub 3 runs or something, where we're right in there battling the whole time.
I agree. And you stuck in there with the Flyers, and you were right there, like you just said.
Yeah, we could hang with most of the teams that are above us, and I think 5 is a good spot for us.
Yeah, I like that. Now, the Knights, Henry's team, previously number 7, and now they're number 4, and I think they deserved number 7 last year. Now they're number 4. I like the number 4 spot.
Yeah, I think it's a really good spot because number 4 and number 5 are a really interchangeable place. Us and the Aces, I feel like, are comparable. Like, if we faced off against each other, every game would be close.
Yeah.
So, I think that's a really good spot. Looking to get that up this season, but I do like number 4.
I think that's just like the exact spot that you don't want to be in. Everyone wants to be number 1, but I think 4 is a spot where like you can kind of prove a lot of people are wrong, and just you're just playing as hard as you can, just trying to turn that number around.
And I mean, going from 7 to 4 is always a good thing. Going up spots is always a good thing for teams.
You're talking about going up spots. How about this next team, the Tundra? They're number 3. They were previously number 8 last year. So they moved up 5 spots, and I think they deserve this spot.
I agree.
Mason is the reason why they're here. So you guys are in the West, so you guys know a lot about this team. So.
He's an amazing player.
Yeah.
Facing him, it's scary. He's always gonna blow up by you. Really, his pitching is crazy. His hitting, it's pretty good, but his pitching is what's gonna blow you away.
Yeah, that was Glaze, but number 3, Tundra, I totally agree as well. So Mason's a good wiffle ball player. Just, he really did push this team to be the best they could be.
Yeah.
He wasn't always supportive of his players, but when he was, they really wanted to play hard. Like Leo Mastronardi showed up, always hustled. Keen Hubert, when he could make it, he played good. Just like, for the Tundra, it was always about trying their best. Like, even if they weren't the most raw, talented team in the league, they would always try their hardest to win. And towards the end of the season, they did start to win, and that took them all the way to the championship series.
Yeah, I'm excited to play them this year because, fun fact, the past 2 seasons, we have not been able to play the Tundra in the regular season because of forfeit. So I hope this season there's a change, but it is looking good with Mason as the captain. So
yeah. Tundra have yet to score a run off of the Knights in the regular season. So, yeah. Now moving into the top 2. The Flyers are ranked number 2. They were number 1 last year. So, moving down just a little bit. I like the spot that they're in. I could see them being number 1. But I don't want to say number 1. We could talk about number 2 and then say number 1. But number 1 is kind of obvious since they won the championship last year. They're looking good. So, but number 2, this is a great spot for the Flyers.
The Flyers with the off-season signings are just looking scary. We can go more in depth next episode.
I think that there's no team with more pressure on them than the Flyers because they've come so close 2 years in a row, and just like it's mistakes that they could have totally changed.
Yeah,
they have thrown their seasons away. So
completely avoidable mistakes.
I think if the Flyers just kind of get their mindset right, they can totally win the championship this year. Which I think 2-1 spots are interchangeable between your team, the Bombers, and the Flyers. Yeah, and completely interchangeable. Every series you played with them last year and the year before were super duper close. It's going to come down to who makes the little things, who does the little things right, who makes the little plays, and just I think that the Bombers and the Flyers are just the 2 teams in this league. Everyone else is playing at a certain level, and they're the 2 teams that are really playing at a high level, at least right now.
I think so. Now we'll just say number 1. My team, the Bombers, 2024 champs. They were previously number 4. Now we're number 1. So, we can still talk about the Flyers a little bit. But Flyers and Bombers, I think that this is like the biggest rivalry in the WWL in my opinion, and I think Elijah and the Flyers are really, really ready for 2025 because they have a lot to live up to. People are expecting them to do good. I think they'll do great. I really am looking forward to seeing how this team will perform. They're scary though. That's all I can say.
In my opinion, it's kind of sad that the Bombers and Flyers are in separate or in the same division. Because if they're in separate divisions, it's easily that's pretty much easily going to be the World Series, and that's going to be a great series.
I do wish that the divisions were a little bit more like that, but there's nothing you can really do. You can't predict that certain captains would suddenly just have great teams.
Yeah.
And I think it's up to the West right now to use this offseason as a time to really to get to the level that the East is on, and I think we can do that in the West.
I think you will
but
this season.
Every captain's going to have to pull their weight, and I'm talking to Josh Walczak pretty much that he needs to get his team on a level that this division can be just as competitive as the East, and that any team in the West could beat the East, but not where we're at right now. We have to. Teams have to. The Wizards have to. Just, I don't know. They need to do something. They need to do something.
Josh needs to do something. Yeah, there needs to be a change to this.
The thing is that
and it needs to happen.
The East has much more chemistry than the West, and I think that's just like the driving reason that they're showing to be a better division, because no one wants to leave the Flyers organization. They're a good team, but more than that, they have great chemistry. No one wants to leave that kind of team.
It's a fun team.
Aces are a loyal team. They don't want to leave. They don't want to split apart. But in the West, it's more like it's different environments.
Yeah.
And even though you might have good players, there's just no interest in the East for any sort of cross division trades. There's no interest.
And I think that all kind of originated from first season. First season we didn't know who were going to be crazy wiffle ball players. So I feel like East kind of picked people we were close with and like friends with in school, and then the chemistry led to us like having loyal teams and all that. And West tried to go out on limbs, find good players, and they were busts.
Yeah,
and didn't have as good of chemistry.
Yeah,
I agree.
All right, so those are your 2024 way too early power rankings at the end of the season. This was a great episode. A lot went down in the off season, and it's still only November, so. A lot of crazy stuff that might still happen. We've got the draft in a little while, so
April, May.
Yeah.
Maybe a little bit earlier.
But as commissioner, I'm really happy with the way the teams are like just changing themselves up, and it's been interesting off season.
It's great to watch.
It is. It's exciting.
Yeah,
all right. Well, that brings us to the end of the episode. Thank you guys for watching. We'll see you guys next time on Inside the WWL.